things that's uppermost on my mind is something that we talked about just a moment ago with our colleague, Colonel Grant Mills. And I wanted to get another opinion on the subject from another of our valued colleagues at the Center for Security Policy, another senior fellow by the name of Colonel John Mills, United States Army retired. John is a regular here at this program. His service to our country, both in the uniform of the United States Army and the Special Operations community, as well as in the Office of the Secretary of Defense as a civilian, and now in a variety of functions, including with us at the Center for Security Policy and as a commentator Newsmax and elsewhere, is really invaluable. And we so appreciate the chance to visit with him from time to time. John, welcome back to Securing America, sir.
Oh, thank you, Frank. Always an honor to be with you.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to get your up to the minute thinking, John, on this videotape that we talked about with Colonel Newsom out of Guangdong province, we're told. And in particular, I think you have in the past told us that you found it compelling. Can't be absolutely certain of its authenticity, but that it sounds right, which was kind of Grant's take too. But how this is going to be seen, uh, or more to the point, how the Chinese are going to see what Tony Blinken said in the wake of this video becoming available, uh, as a striking contrast with their attitude towards the prospect of a future conflict. When Blinken's talking about, competitiveness, of course, but also cooperation instead.
Well, again, I always try to call balls and strikes fairly here. And Blinken will do one good thing, but then two bad things. And there's a stark difference between strategic ambiguity as practiced by President Reagan and I call it Mr. Magooism practiced by this administration, which has the opposite effect and it drives the potential opponent into thinking that we have no resolve or clarity. And so I'm very concerned about this. Blinken needs to be clear and demonstrate resolve on these matters. That was what will deter conflict. And they just can't seem to get it together in this administration. They are just signaling and telegraphing this. Now, I did watch that and study that the referenced video and the translation. Very concerning. Something is going on. This was a military mobilization briefing and order, rife with political ideology, which, if you've been through orders briefs in the United States military, you would not see all this ideology woven in. But clearly, this was a prelude to war. So,
Yes.
everybody buckle up and get ready.
Well, and again, the contrast between the two is dramatic, but I fear, as you've indicated, John, that the takeaway on the part of the Chinese has to be we're deadly serious about war. We're even serving notice, maybe not intentionally, but nonetheless, that's the effect of this video being made public. And in response, we get Tony Blinken at his most flaccid. This is the kind of performance that I assume prompted the Chinese foreign minister and national security advisor to tear into him and Jake Sullivan in Anchorage a year or so ago. It does not augur well, it seems to me, if our purpose is actually to prevent attacks on Taiwan or, for that matter, on us by the Chinese at this moment. So, John, I think, again, your clarity on this point is really needed, and I wish that we would see more of it from the administration. Strategic ambiguity now seems to be strategic incoherence at best, and at worst, it's strategic malfeasance, effectively. John, let me switch gears on you, though. I want to talk about another matter. You've, as I said, had considerable experience inside the United States government, both in uniform and as a civilian. There is a case that has just had a ruling made by the Fifth Circuit, and it has to do with a matter involving administrative law and courts used for that purpose, or judges, I should say, for that purpose by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And yet it seems as though it could have very far reaching implications that the court said that's actually unconstitutional, folks. You can't do that. Um, I don't know that if you've had a chance to study this ruling, John, but I'm interested in what the repercussions might be if it's upheld by the Supreme Court, that is, for our, huge and seemingly ever more, uh, well, powerful administrative state.
Yeah, yeah, Frank. Well, let me give you and everybody, all of our viewers, a 4-hour tutorial on what created this monster. And it's actually, I'll wrap it up in 30 seconds here. It's the 1946 Administrative Procedures Act, which everybody needs to study this. This is what created the fourth branch of government, the administrative state. And I had to deal with this a lot too as as laws were passed, bills were passed by Congress, sent for enactment to the president, signed, uh, evolved into U.S. code. There's a lot of implementing details that are really run through what we call the public comment period, and we start actually creating the rules and regulations of departments and agencies. And the APA from 1946 says, okay, because they realize, okay, the government's getting big, just U.S. code is not enough. We have to have a process to create regulations within the departments and agencies that deal with the public. And this is what created the administrative state. Very important. And this ruling essentially says, this is what's so critical on this ruling, is that a litigant, a citizen, that's you, that's me, can go through the court system, not be subject to these kind of courts or faux courts, fake
Mm-hmm.
courts that
Mm-hmm.
are administrative in nature inside these departments and agencies, such as the
Uh,
SEC, such
John, I
as
have to ask you to hold the thought because I want to come back to teasing out just how tremendously important this ruling is for, again, as you say, individual citizens, but also for the balance of power being restored in our constitutional republic. That and more with Colonel John Mills right after this.